Hey guys, let's talk about peer-to-peer payments. What are they? How are they the future? Okay. And yeah, what should bankers like us be afraid of? Okay. Be very afraid. So let me start from myself. Obviously, I'm Patrick, I'm the chairman and CEO of Oruka. So Oruka is a payment ring, a smart payment ring. So obviously we care about our customers. I'm here because obviously I love my customers. I connect to my customers as much as possible. When I have a second, I come out and I record the sessions. Which number one, I talk a lot. Okay, these are topics I work in day to day, in and out. I've worked in banking for the last 20 years before I started this fintech, which is again it pays around payments. It's a payment ring. So we focus on customers and we see what's happening out there in the world. We're also away from banking, so we can see what's happening across the banking side of things. So I'm going to talk about what's going on there as well and why banks are afraid here. They're afraid of people talking to each other without the banks being involved. So yeah, you can order these online, oruka.com. It's the payment ring, so you don't need your wallet or your phone. It's not Bluetooth, right? It's pure, like, it's a card in there. And what you do is you connect and you make your payment as you do with your bank account. But it's a bank on your fingers, which is cool. So let's talk about peer-to-peer payments. So peer-to-peer payments, what is me paying to you? Peer-to-peer, we're peers, okay? So when you look at that, that means me and you are at the same level. That's different from a payment to someone. If you pay to a bank, if you pay to a merchant, then that means it's you being the lower end actually paying to that person. So that person has the right to refuse, they has the right to actually hold back the payment, okay? Also has the right as well to decide if they want to refund or check that that money is legit or not, check that it's safe or not. So there's a bit of lack of trust when it comes to payment to a merchant or payment to a government or payment to an institution. So if you're paying to an institution, it has to be checked. The onus is on that person. But if it's a peer to peer, we are seen as peers. So that means me and you pay to each other. That's the idea of a peer to peer payment. So peer to peer would be someone like me and you. So if I'm here and I owe you £5, okay, I can turn around and say, hey, I need to pay you £5. So I could give you the £5 cash. That's how it used to be. I can give you the £5 and say, there you go, there's your £5, I'm done. Okay, and I'm trying to simplify this as much as possible. On the other hand, if I had to pay you through your bank account, what happens is I send it to my bank, okay, then has to send it to your bank. Your bank then has to make sure and check that you are correct, you are who you say you are, and then they make the payment to you. Okay. Oh, and then they are constrained by resources. So that means if you turn around and if you pay £100,000 and you've never paid £5 or £10 before, then the bank that's receiving the money has to check the KYC, has to check that it's not fraudulent. I might refuse the money or hold on to the money, which annoys a lot of people. They might hold on to the money while they're doing their investigations to make sure it's correct. And it could be months. So the point I'm trying to make here is the fact that when it's peer to peer, there's trust. There's a little bit of trust between each other because we're at the same level compared to when it's going to different institutions. Okay. And that's what peer to peer is. So right now, I think there are a lot of peer to peer transfers, which is happening across the world. The first people to do this actually was Money. Everybody knows about MoneyGram, Western Union. So Western Union were very good at this. What they do is they go ahead and they have different correspondent banks. That's how it works. Okay, it looks easy, but in truth, if I send you money, it goes through various places. Okay, I talked about my friend. If I send my friend £5, he has to go in. And it goes to my bank goes to the other bank, and then it goes all across before it goes to the other bank. That's why if you send money over the weekend, it's a lot longer. In fact, some countries still you have to wait until Monday to Friday before it goes through. Okay. War still as well. Imagine if my friend was in the US and I'm in the UK. That means I'm sending £5 to my friend who actually would only receive dollars. So it has to go from my bank to a US correspondence bank. Okay, not just a US bank. Can't just send the money to a US bank. No. My bank would have to send the money to a US correspondence bank. The US correspondence bank would have to then send it to my friend's bank. Those are three banks, okay? And then they send it over and then pay it to my friend. Three people are already involved there. It gets more and more complex. Okay. What about if I send the money today and I send it to be received in 3 days' time? Well, in 3 days' time, the changes would have moved. So my friend is receiving dollars and I've just sent pounds. So what would happen then is you need to go through the bank. Okay, the banks have to pass it to each other. Oh wait, then there's a different FX rate that goes through. So that FX rate, they would have to obey the latest FX rate in the market according to the Feds because it's going to the US. So you see how complex and convoluted it gets, and it's been that way for months. Okay, for years. And it was that way, and I think that was the rationale behind MoneyGram and Western Union coming in. Because Western Union and MoneyGram, what happens? These guys had correspondence bank across the world. So it's as simple as that. They go ahead and they say, hey, wherever you are, okay, we will honor the FX rate that you give us, okay, and we'll make sure your friend receives the money because we have a correspondence bank there. So what you do now is with the Western Union, we take away a lot of middlemen and you only had Western Union top top. So you go to Western Union and you say, here's £5, give it to my friend in the US. Your friend then goes, hey, here's £5 from the Western Union, done. And all the intermediaries, Western Union dealt with it because they had banks. So what Western Union would do is go in, get the Western Union account in London, and then go ahead and get the Western Union correspondence account in the US, convert it across, and it's a lot easier, quicker because it's seen as interbank transfer. I say all that to say, that it's convoluted, right? It's a bit of a mess. And that was why crypto just flew through the rocks. Because when crypto came across the block, I can tell you, again, I remember walking the bank and looking, my God, this is going to change things. So what happened then with crypto, it's P2P. So what that means, instead of me and you worrying about what currency it is, because I'm going to send $5, but my bank can say to me, hey, instead of sending $5, how about you send it in pounds? So there are different currencies to look at. Okay. And everything was always around P2P, which is where the market is. So the global market, I can tell you, P2P is a lot larger than anything out there because there are billions of us on it. We're all sending money to each other across the world. So that's big. So if you look at that web, everyone wants to be involved in that. So the point I'm trying to make then is the fact that if you look at then the amount of intermediaries, it was a lot. And then they make a lot of money from this. Buying out, but buying. What crypto came in then was to say, hey, we're going to go in, okay, and then it's going to be networked so that we all trust each other. So you don't need the banks anymore, 5, 6, 7, 8 banks. Clearly, you can see why the government and the banks will not be happy with this. So they say, hey, you don't need all those intermediaries. I don't need a different currency. Because how about we use a blockchain, which is reliant? Dollar is not going to go up. The Feds are not going to increase or issue money unnecessarily, endlessly, as they always do. Well, your government are corrupt. They can be as corrupt as they want to do, okay? But whatever crap that they do, whatever budget deficit that they have in the UK, doesn't matter because you only have crypto. So crypto came in there, and then you were able to send one crypto to another person in one currency. If you send Bitcoin to your friend in the US, your friend in the US will get the Bitcoin. Okay, if you're sending, what do you call it? If you're sending Ethereum, if you're sending, Polygon, any of those currencies, okay, in fact, they call it currency, but it is a currency. Although, no one will accept that. But in truth, it's a currency because what you're doing is you're saying, I'm sending you zero point 0.1 Bitcoin. You send it and the person receives zero point 0.1 Bitcoin. Okay, we're going to talk about how the person spends it later. But as it stands, that's all you get. If you go in with one currency, it's one currency and it works across the world, anywhere in the world, without the middleman. Okay, so that's crazy because if you look at that, that's revolutionary. And one, that means you can do it at any point. If you have no intermediaries, then you don't have to look at the window, right? Because shops, banks work Monday to Friday. So that would mean that if you're sending the money, you need to make sure that you're sending it when the bank is open. If you're sending it at 5 p.m. London time, well, it's going to be early in the US time. Okay. But if you send it at 5 p.m. in the US, guess what? London is closed already. So there's no bank to receive it. Okay. That means the FX rate will be poor, but they have to guess what the rate is going to be until Monday. So that became a mess where people then turned around and said, okay, with Bitcoin, you don't need that because it's available 247. Oh, better still, with Bitcoin, there's no middleman. Yeah. So there's no government involved, there's no bank involved, and you can just transfer the money from one to the other. So that's very cool. Obviously the banks were not happy with that. Okay. I can tell you. So what happened then, obviously, everyone just went and focused on the negatives of Bitcoin, which is there. The negatives are there with banks. Okay, you know what happens with scams and everything around banking. Uh, and now with Bitcoin, everyone focuses on that. So I think that was why Bitcoin had a bad rap because everyone just focuses on the wrong side of things there. The other point with Bitcoin themselves, okay, crypto providers themselves are not doing so well on, is to worry about the money going up. So a lot of people are just buying to hold, right? They're looking at, okay, if I buy Bitcoin, how much is it? Okay. In truth, you don't do that for the dollar. You don't buy a dollar and go, how much is the dollar? Right? Although there are people who speculate on FX, right? There's a lot of people who trade FX. Those are like very, very small minor people. Everyone that buys a currency wants to use the currency. They want to use it for payments, they want to use it for transactions, they want to use it for P2P. That's what Bitcoin was supposed to be. So Bitcoin, if it's going to do well, okay, this is a tip for you guys who do crypto. We don't do crypto. Actually, we do crypto, we allow crypto, but we're not experts in these things. But any of you experts out there that knows crypto, the future of crypto is going to be P2P and currency. Okay? That means people have to accept it, people have to use it daily. Okay, and that's what we're here for. I'll talk about how we help there. But the point is, we want to make sure that people can use that currency and use it and not keep it that it goes up. Because if you have something and you hope that it goes up, then it's going to be corrupt because everyone's going to try and see how they can make it go up. And that's where meme coins came into effect. Trump just did his meme coin there. Everyone did meme coin. And why? Because you hope the value goes up. Everyone hopes the value goes up. Yeah, that's as crazy as buying the Madonna painting. Yeah, and then using it as currency. Yeah, the Madonna painting will never go anywhere. Paint, wine go up in value. Everything goes up in value, but we don't want crypto to be that. Crypto wasn't invented so that it goes up in value. So that's, again, I've just gone into a tangent there to all you crypto bros out there. Please don't buy and hold. If you buy and hold, that's fine because you think the currency is going to go down. But in truth, the future of crypto, if it's going to be a legal tender, has to be validity for transactions, validity for peer-to-peer. If I can send crypto to my friend over there easily, that's going to be the future of money. And that would make more sense than sending the dollar, okay? Because we know where the dollar is going. If you look at debt crisis today, it's crazy. Every government, irrespective of where you are, every government right now is suffering. Yeah. So please, let's see how crypto goes forward. So the other point now becomes, and I think this happens to a lot of crypto guys who wants to get into crypto, and it happened to me as well. I can tell you, I went in and I transferred money, and then the crypto, I had to log in, then to do a KYC, which you have to think about. Why are you doing a KYC for crypto? Okay, that's because the centralized exchange themselves are now part of the government. Yeah, which I think is the most silly thing. Again, for you crypto guys out there, if the average person on the street, if they want to get away from crypto, they're not gonna, they're getting so if they want to get away from fiat money, that's because they don't trust the government. And now what's happening now? We now have centralized exchanges that are actually then under the government's remit, so that now everyone's over the government. Everyone's going hand and feet to beg the government. Okay, that's not good, right? Oh, let's look at this the other way around as well. The government themselves are now coming to crypto. So we see the US dollar. I think US dollar currently owns, US government, sorry. They currently own about 2 to 3% of Bitcoin in circulation. That's crazy, right? And then you have central governments as well, central banks trying to bring out their own digital currencies, right? CBDCs. A lot of central banks are doing it. In my opinion, that's just a waste of time. Don't, right? Why? There's only one reason why the government wants to be interested in Bitcoin. That's because they want to control it as well. Yeah. So, in my opinion, if they come up with a CBDC, that's fine. You don't need to use it because they use their currency. So just use their currency. If you want to get a euro, instead of getting a stable euro, just use a euro. Okay, because a stable euro is simply just a crypto where they want to find out and see where your crypto is going into so they can monitor that as well and control it. In my opinion, if you want to control something, control fiat, control the dollar, control the US dollar. Simple. Oh, and if you want to control the other side of things, then good luck with that, right? As long as you don't give that information over, as long as you don't go into, and I know again, we have a lot of centralized exchange that we work with. Okay, so we have a version of this ring for Binance. We have a version of this ring for Coinbase, by the way. So go online, oruka.com to order one. So we work with these people. That's not a problem. But I think what I'm trying to, this purpose of this video is to talk about true peer-to-peer transfer. If I'm going to send money to Johnny over there, right, I don't want the government to be involved because he's here beside me. So I should be able to send him money similar to me giving him cash. I should be able to give him Bitcoin. Simple. I don't have to do a KYC with him because he's beside me. Yeah. So that's the future, in my opinion, for peer-to-peer transfer. For what for what crypto was supposed to be a peer-to-peer true, but the transfer immutable, okay, and where you can also see the ledger entries. If you can do it, there's no middleman, then we should do it. Yeah, and there's no point, I'm going to repeat again until I get blue in the face. There's no point going to the government and hoping that the government recognizes crypto, because if the government recognizes crypto, that means they're going to own crypto. They're going to find out what's going in and out of the crypto. Again, and I know crypto is being used for the dark market, okay, and so is cash as well. I know, crypto is being used again for scam activities and for illegal activities. So is cash as well. So is cocaine. So are a lot of things. In my opinion, the premise or the principle, right, of crypto remains strong, and it should focus on peer-to-peer. It should be an alternative to cash, okay? Because cash right now, I tell you, is going downhill. And everybody knows that. Yeah, so it's easy to argue, listen, I'm currently here in Switzerland. Oh my God, the Swiss debt is so much. Oh, and then they blame the tariff, and then they blame this, and they blame the US. Oh, the US themselves are suffering because they've issued, 38 trillion worth of debt, and it's going to go up to 60 in the next 10 years. Oh my God. So everybody and every government is suffering, right? But guess what? You need to worry about yourself because you can't change the government. You can go out and protest, which is good. However, that's not going to change the government because the government will turn around and give you something else to fight against, right? We've seen a lot of people now fighting against immigration, right? I mean, the government is falling down, the country is suffering, but we're worried about 10 people who came across on a boat or came across from Mexico, right? So the point I'm trying to make is it's easy to get sucked into these things, right? Without worrying about ourselves. In this case, what do you want to do? You want to easily send money from A to B. Therefore, go P2P. Look for P2P. There are a lot of peer-to-peer, by the way. So again, I talk about rings a lot because we do simple peer-to-peer payments, peer-to-peer transfers. However, there are a lot of apps. Just look peer-to-peer today, and then you should be able to find apps. But I think that's going to be the future going forward. There's something to mention as well, which I'm not sure if you noticed on my hands, right? So the point with crypto, which is hopefully changing really quick, peer to peer is good, but then you want to go buy something. So if you want to go in and buy, I don't know, if you want to go buy a loaf of bread or pizza, yeah, you want to also be able to pay with crypto. So that's where the merchants come in. So if I'm accepting crypto from my brother over here, guess what? I'm going to accept crypto when someone comes to pay. So the merchants, I think, are important here in this dynamic. So there's peer to peer, there's also peer to merchant, and the merchants themselves should be able to accept crypto. Our rings provider, by the way. So that means with our rings, you can tap and then make payment by crypto. We facilitate that. So our point is, again, we're agnostic. So if you want to pay with cash, crypto, anything, we should be able to do that because that's what, we in the front should do. But then behind the curve, I think it's important to note that the facility needs to be there. Merchants needs to accept crypto. We need to be able to pay with crypto, and then that balances the trade. Okay. And cool. So that's it then. If you have any questions, let me know. Go on the app, ask questions, ask comment here as well. But as it stands, I think the future of payment is going to be peer to peer. If it's not clear, just look at the level of government involvement there. Look at how much governments and now their governments are very slow to act. Okay, but they are slow to act, but they know themselves that that's the future. That's why I see a lot of governments going into crypto these days for good reason. So if the government is in it, then you know it's good, right? So take care, guys, and catch you in the next one. Bye.